Yeah, actually, and I was thinking about that while you were speaking. I think one of the mediums between pleasure and pain, for me personally, that is truly profound is beauty,
Mm,
and the idea of beauty. And this, I'm going to relate this to decadence, but I want to take it back to where the concept of beauty comes from. And Nietzsche relates beauty to this idea of health and virility, right? So we
mm,
think about symbols of beauty in our lives, right? Something is like the sun is beautiful. Well, it literally gives us life. Without the
mm,
sun, we cannot exist. So we attach this aesthetic to brightness, right?
mm.
Brightness in our minds becomes virility, becomes health. That is what gives us life. You see the lion, for example. Why is the lion beautiful? Well, the lion has this healthy mane, this healthy coat. When we see like
Mm.
it sounds weird, but healthy hair, for example, that
Yeah.
shows vitality. The mane of a lion shows vitality. And then we start to attach things that we know will propel us forward with beauty. So the lion's courage, right? That becomes
Mm.
beautiful because we value courage in ourselves. It's a natural thing that we must be courageous to survive. The hunter must be courageous to ensure he's going to
Mm.
kill his prey without getting killed by a predator, or he has to fight a
Yeah.
rival tribe for survival. So we attach beauty to these concepts which propel life forward. And I think beauty is the medium between pleasure and pain, and my first principle almost alongside power, because ultimately beauty does not come without pain, without suffering, but
Mm.
there also is great pleasure in witnessing beauty. And I think the greatest people in life understand beauty, see beauty, and it becomes their mission to contribute to that beauty. It's not
Mm.
enough just to see the perfect sunset or to see the beautiful painting. It's not
Yeah.
enough to hear the perfect song. You want to help people also witness beauty. You want to contribute to that beauty. And that is an aspect of higher life. And my first principle is like the creation of beauty, and which is rooted in real things. Beauty is rooted in health, vitality, and real things. It's like I want to
Yeah.
contribute to beauty. That's my first principle.
I love that. That is such a good first principle, brother. Well thought out. And like, yeah, I think it's interesting because it relates wholeheartedly to the creation of high culture because I think of places like, the shogun of Japan, like, samurai Japan culture. I think of, you know, early Rome, ancient Greece, like these like maybe higher types of culture that we've seen on planet Earth. And all of them are supremely beautiful, like
Hmm.
wicked beautiful, beautiful people, beautiful architecture, beautiful creation. And the sense of beauty is inspiring. Like Renaissance, Florence, Italy, the Medici family, everything, every planning of the city, from the architecture to the town square to the walkways, like all of it was supposed to inspire this sense of awe and rapture and beauty. And like beauty and power are probably the two closest ideas I could imagine being God, would be like beauty and power. Um,
Yeah, literally those two specifically. Like I always tell people, like when they ask, like, "What's your morality? What's your
yeah,
what's your ultimate good?" It's literally beauty and power, and the two things are almost synonymous, right? It's
yeah,
like true power is beautiful, and true beauty is powerful. So like I love that. Yeah, I absolutely agree.
yeah. And it's really interesting too, is um, I love dancing, and I think dancing is such a great metaphor for life in a
Mm.
sense. And I was just at ecstatic dance yesterday, and to dance beautifully is also to dance powerfully. But it's
Mm.
not like over the top. Like it's very like it's subtle at times, and then it like unfolds, and it's kind of like I always think of dancing like I think of sex, and also I think of how the human body is made. The human body is made like the strongest, most robust muscles are like the core and the
Mm.
quads, like, in the center. And then everything becomes smaller and more refined all the way out to the fingertips, right? And then it's
Hmm.
like small muscle, larger muscle, larger muscle, larger muscle, larger muscle, big muscle, huge muscle, right? And it's kind of like how you dance too, is like these like subtle movements coming into like a more strong and robust feeling that's like moving outward.
Hmm.
And like the human body, like Da Vinci's map of it is this perfect combination of the Fibonacci spiral into beauty. And I
Hmm.
think of that like even dancing. And yeah, in another way, I guess I'm just trying to say there's a certain expression of life that is beautiful and it's like mapped into life itself. And how we
Exactly.
move like that, how we
Hmm.
express like that, how we build like that, there's something beautiful there. Yeah, just kind of an offshoot of that idea. But beauty and power. I've always thought of God as beautiful, terrifying, and like overwhelming power. The couple experiences I've had, like, you know, those are the three aspects I would attribute with God, which is very different from like the love and light spiritual God or the Christian God, you know, which is really interesting. Maybe we can thumbtack that for later. But
yeah, absolutely. Actually, if you don't mind, I have a couple comments just on that really quick. I
keep going.
think, you know, one of the Nietzsche loved the Old Testament, right? And the Old Testament, like the way that God is portrayed in the Old Testament is this all-powerful figure, right?
Yeah.
It is this magnificent figure. And kind of going back to what you're saying about expression, right? Like dancing, for example. I think that ultimately, if we think about, I'm trying because there is this idea that I'm getting from what you're talking about. It's kind of like, for example, you take historically the sort of build, the build of the aristocrat. It's not like, for example, it's not just this big jacked, you know, bodybuilder type. No, it's muscular, but it's agile, it's quick.
Yeah.
Right. There is an objective.
Smooth.
Yeah, it's like the
smooth. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
Like a Greek statue, right?
Yeah.
That's sort of the aristocratic build. And they're like, people talk about beauty being subjective, but there is a very objective quality to beauty. And it is rooted in functional things, kind of like what you're talking about. We're bouncing this idea back and forth. It's this idea there is something that you can, there's a quantifiable aspect to beauty. It's not merely beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, sure, but it's from orienting itself in something real, which is ultimately like health, virility, and an aspect of functionality. To dance beautifully, for example, if you can dance well and you dance well with these nice muscles, beautiful muscles, you can probably do other things well that are functional in survival. The warrior almost dances, right? The fighter dances. The best fighters like Muhammad Ali, Conor McGregor in his prime, you saw how they moved. It was a dancing rhythm, right? And
it's a dance. But it's also, it's not like beauty's not utilitarian, like in the sense of like, I think what we're talking about is best understood through music. You listen to a symphony, like an orchestra, the subtle low spots to the high overexpressive crescendos to the, like every emotion encapsulated inside of it. Good dance, same thing. Good sex, same thing. A great body, same thing. It's like this full spectrum experience that's like deeply esoteric in a sense. It's like this full spectrum of experience of all archetypes, you know, into one thing. And I think this is getting off on a huge tangent, but I think I would love to do a full podcast with you about beauty and like bring in some developed thoughts. But if anyone listening to this has any notes or, you know, ideas about beauty and the death of beauty in the modern day, and this is, I guess, a good segue into like the decadence of today, is to prefer. We prefer what is ugly. This is really interesting. Is like when you prefer what is harmful, we prefer what is ugly. So you look at all the ads on fucking TV today, and it's always showing overweight people. I walk through the streets of Denver, and in front of all these like really ugly buildings is ugly art, you know, and it's just like rods at weird angles is like the sculpture in front of the main building down here. And I'm like, imagine if this was like a symphony of angels, you know, like how much more inspired rods, just rods at weird angles. What does that do for my soul?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So that's
actually, you know, that brings up a great point. So you know, we both watch Uber Boyo videos a lot. And you remember, I don't know if you've seen this video, but did you see the video where he talks about like modern music and he brings up a song by Radiohead. So he's comparing a song by Radiohead to like an orchestra, right?
Yeah.
Or even
I've
like
seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like the orchestra, or even like a song like "We Are the Champions" by Queen.
Yeah.
There is a song that brings us up, makes us want to conquer, like with like, you know, Wagner or Beethoven. or whoever, you feel this virile sort of will to power, even, right? Like
it's increasing the feeling of life.
Yes.
The will to power. Yeah.
Precisely. Exactly. And this song by Radiohead, and like, that's not like to shit on Radiohead, but there's a sort of sadness in a lot of modern music which does not inspire. It almost like fetishizes or romanticizes like depression, anxiety, right? And a lot of media is like this too. A lot of TV shows are like this. They make things that are not good. Like, we don't want to be depressed. Like, a lot of people are depressed, but you fight through that, something to be overcome. It's something that you must conquer, but it's almost like they're creating this medium where you want to be in that position, where you romanticize that depression, where you sit in that depression.
Yeah, the sad boy feeling. Yeah.
Right. And I think there is a time and a place to be in your feelings, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not an end state. You cannot stay in that catonic sort of dead form of life you're like a sleepwalker, like the Walking Dead. You need to overcome that. And modern music, modern media, like you said it yourself, right? Like, you see all these forms of ugliness, whether it's in music, whether it's in like a lot of times the people that we try to redefine beauty today. Like, you talk about
over and over.
Yeah, like obesity. In no form is obesity beautiful. We're talking about health and virility. Yeah. Why are we trying to, like, what benefit do you have from being fat? It's not good for your mind. It's not good for your body. It's not good for your soul.
So, and also, no one truly finds it beautiful.